We have a doozy of a show for you today. Warhorns! Ah! Okay, so just to catch up, we gave away Tooth and Claw a couple of weeks ago. It's now here, we're posting it out. Last episode, we were giving away 2 copies of Night Vault. They're here as well. Stay tuned to the end of the show and we'll be announcing who won those. You can claim them and get them this week. This week, we're giving away probably what I and many other gamers consider to be the mega prize. We're giving away 2, okay? 2 prizes. There's going to be 2 winners. And each of you is going to win a box of Warhounds and a beer stein. A 40k beer stein, man. It is, it's like the best of everything. Beer and Warhounds. Ah! As well as that, we also have what is going to be probably the coolest 8 weeks of our lives, all dedicated to Space Hulk. Time to get stuck in. And if you thought winning Steins, 40k Steins and 40k Warhounds was cool, things are about to get a whole lot better. Okay, so Space Hulk Tactics, a brand new video game where you get to play Space Hulk. It's awesome, by the way. But to celebrate its launch, we're doing something very, very special. We have teamed up with Cyanide Studio, Focus Home Interactive, and Games Workshop, and we are launching the Space Hulk Tactics Hobby Challenge. So a little bit of crossover between the worlds of the digital and the worlds of the awesome. That's us, by the way.
The worlds of OnTableTop.
Yeah, the awesome. That's our community. You know, the whole wargaming thing, guys. So here's what we're doing. Starting today, we're launching the Space Hulk Tactics Hobby Challenge.
Yep.
Come across to beastofor.com or ontabletop.com and fire up a project. Your project has to be related to Space Hulk in some capacity. You could be painting Terminators,
yep,
or Gene Stealers,
yep,
or some other thing you can think of that relates it to Space Hulk. You could be making a diorama. You could be doing a conversion.
Could I be scratch building a Space Hulk?
You could be scratch building a Space Hulk. You can do terrain. You could do stories or a story. You could do missions, custom missions for Space Hulk. You could do a campaign. You could do a cosplay.
Oh, come on.
You could do whatever you want.
Dude, I've been looking for my next armor project.
Imagine Terminator armor, Justin. That would be amazing.
I think John may have already found templates. Don't tempt me.
This is our opportunity as a community to celebrate all things Space Hulk. We're going to be running the challenge over the course of 8 weeks. The closing date is the 24th of November. And then on the 1st of December, we will be announcing the winners. And we have an evolving prize pool. So what I'm about to tell you today is only the start. There's going to be more coming.
So what, tip of the Space Hulk coming out of the warp?
The tip of the Space Hulk. So we have multiple categories. So we're going to be breaking it down in the following way. We're going to have best idea. So it doesn't matter so much about your execution. It's just down to the general idea behind what you're trying to do. We're going to have a winner and a runner-up of that.
Awesome.
Best skill. So that's down to showing us your skills, showing us your chops.
So make it shiny.
We're going to have a winner and a runner-up in that category as well. We're going to have best tutorial, because in our project system over here on OnTableTop, you can teach people what you're doing and show how you're doing it step by step.
Yeah. Well, for anyone who's never used it before, what it allows you to do is you can add text, images, image galleries, and video components to an ever-growing sort of list of entries that you can actually show people step by step what you're up to, give them guides on what you were thinking, what you were doing, what components you were using. It's great.
So best tutorial, we're also going to have a winner and a runner-up as well. So this is going to be based on a couple of different factors. So for all of the projects, whenever you go into our project system, you can read over them and you can click little nomination buttons. You can click it for every entry that somebody adds to their project. You can nominate them for skill, for ideas, and for tutoring. So at the end of the project, we're going to be taking that into account, but not only that into account. We're pulling together a crack team of judges, and I think I'm going to go in on this one, to judge the best, and then we're going to pull the winners from the combination of what happens within the nominations and more heavily weighted towards the judges themselves. You guys, we're going to be giving away, we'll detail this in more detail, but you're going to win. There's going to be artworks given away, signed artworks given away, copies of the video game given away, okay? And there's going to be a grand prize over and above all of that, which is the judges' pick. This is the judges' pick of project, okay? And you're going to win a grand prize. And I decided to throw something of ours into this. We are putting in...
I remember this.
A new copy of the Space Hulk tabletop game. So this is all completely intact. We've had a couple of these that we have been sitting on for a number of years now. You're going to get one of these. And there is weight to this bad boy. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, I'm sorry for anyone we deafened.
We have other things planned. We're also going to be awarding spot prizes over the course of the 8 weeks. So get involved as we see cool things. We're going to be doing little spot prizes where we're reaching out and you can win stuff. We're just having a celebration of all things Space Hulk. And I've got to say, this excites me because my first love was the Deathwing Terminators.
Nice.
I built a Deathwing army as the first thing I ever did. And it was like, oh... And I know that Deathwing have been in there smashing up Space Hulks for eternity. So I want to see some cool Deathwing. We have some other amazing stuff planned, some guest stuff planned as well. So there's going to be a lot of fun and games taking place around one of the most famous tabletop games that has ever existed. So this week, remember, if you comment on this video, hit like and hit subscribe, and remember to ding my dong, you will be in with a chance of winning Steins and Warhounds.
Yep.
I like that. But as well as that, come across to beastofor.com or OnTableTop.com and fire yourself up a free account and get stuck in with a project. It could be something simple. It could be something complicated. Just have fun. That's the main thing.
If you have something that's not on our list, but you still think it's a hobby, don't be scared to create the project on it, because we could look at it and go, holy crap, we never thought of that. That's the best idea.
It could be. It could be. So to celebrate the launch of Space Hulk Tactics, which is an amazing looking game if you haven't seen it, by the way, it looks flipping awesome. This is what we're doing. So come over and get stuck in. Right. I feel the urge. It's coming on. I think I'm going to have a Kill Team version of Warren Meets Matt. All pray to the Kill Team Cat. So Kill Team Cat says yes.
Yeah.
So I thought for Warren Meets Matt this week, I'd have a look at something very Kill Team orientated. Yep. This is from GameMat.Eu. This is Chem-zone. Okay, so what we have here is a Chem-zone pre-painted terrain set. So this comes exactly as you see it. It consists of your tanks. So you've got
three types.
Three types: big enclosed, small open with all of the
goo.
Green gooiness.
Yeah,
and then you've got kind of like an exploded tank.
Yeah,
back here. I really like these. I think that the paint jobs on these are superb for something that's pre-painted. I was seriously blown away by them. Like, have a look at some of the detail on that. Nice choice of color. Really, really vibrant and poppy.
Really pops. One of the great things about the pre-painted stuff that the guys over at GameMat do is, for those of us out there who don't have time to actually get everything built, paint it, this is something you can very quickly grab, lay out on the table, and have something that looks pretty damn good. Do
you know what else about this stuff, Justin? It is...
Oh, it's sturdy.
Seriously robust.
See, I would laugh if Warren was smacking that and it just went boof.
It won't go boof.
No, it won't go boof, but I'd be laughing if it did.
This GameMat.EU stuff is built for gamers. Like, I mean, you can chuck this stuff in a box and it's just going to come out perfectly. So, you've got the gas tanks.
Yeah.
One of the nice little touches in the gas tanks is they have these little outward vents. And watch this here. It just lines up. Pop! with this, and these are the conduits. So let me break this conduit apart, just so you see all the components. So this is how the set of components that went together just to make this little layout of conduits. So you've got supreme flexibility with the piping, and pipework is just great. And for the Kill Team stuff, I think it's absolutely perfect. What a great set.
Yeah, but look beyond Kill Team, Warren. I'm going to say that right now, because, yeah, this makes an epic Kill Team board.
Yes.
But this stuff is flexible beyond that. I mean, like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I want to lay out something like this for something like Wild West Exodus.
Oh, Wild West Exodus.
Because it's got that nice, heavy industrial feel to it. You know?
Yeah, Star Wars, yes!
You could Star Wars this up, yeah.
You could totally stick this stuff in the desert, and you would have your Jakao kind of desert stuff.
It's desert or anywhere. I mean, like, it just looks like high-end, heavy-duty industrial gear that you can drop anywhere.
As well as that, then you get two types of container.
Yes.
So you get your beautiful bright yellow ones. And once again, look at the little details. See the shine of the metallic on that? And then you get your dark, gritty, metallic containers. So, Chem-zone terrain. Now, on the mats, I was about to do a magic trick there and go...
Please, no.
Okay, let's carefully move the mats over.
I can get you this one clear very quickly.
Justin has set this up for a game of Kill Team for me and him. And I notice he's stuck me with Tau. But I'm going to have a wee think.
Kind of kick ass.
Yeah, maybe. I'm going to have a wee think, because I don't know if I want to play Tau today. I'm going to have a think, Justin. When we go back into the studio, I'll decide what we're going with. Double-sided, okay? And the stuff just works. Look.
Yep.
Bang.
And all of a sudden, I'm playing my Wild West Exodus game.
Yes. You see, so on the mat itself, you've got the remnants of a railroad, which is always a cool thing, because even in 40k, the thing that I've always loved in 40k is the Imperial train. It's just such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Lots of nice grit. You've got lots of the textures and stuff in it. It's a really good generic kind of destroyed earth kind of a look. Over here you've got some underground piping and conduit, and you've got the basics of a kind of like a pycrete or concrete kind of underslab for the area. And then to turn it over...
Well, before you do that, one thing I want to show you. Look at the depth they've managed to achieve on the craters here. Look how deep they look.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen those done and they just look shallow and nasty. Those are nice.
Yeah. I can totally see a trigon or something popping out of those. That's just... So over to this side, and this is a superb level on this side. So you've got that kind of industrial zone going on. Lots of beautiful details like cracks and lots of kind of road markings. Here you've even got vents. Over into your kind of your main area, you've got lots of kind of like chemical spill, oil, grease, dirt, and then your conduits all kind of coming in. Once again, very inclined to run conduits right up to the side of
so they match into stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of little narratives on these mats that you can tie into. The other beautiful thing about the mats is they are very small. This entire set is very easy to pack away. We're using 2 mats to give us just a slightly larger play area.
Yep.
But I'll be honest, Justin, I'd be quite happy to play a game of Kill Team really condensed into this. Imagine you will be in the thick of the game straight away.
But it's what the game's designed for. It's very tight, crushed in, sort of high, heavy industrial areas where it's just like you are moving past some of the piping, the conduit, and you're able to sneak up behind every person on the battlefield. Matters.
Let me spin this around so you see the other side, because there's some really nice effects and details on this side. Over here, really nice chemical spills, right?
Or a blood effect.
Or a blood effect. I kind of like the... Look at that. Right? That just... that works really, really well for me. It's just a really nice option, and I think it goes really well with the terrain itself. Yeah, look at that. Actually, check this out. Right? And then on this side, look at that. See the way you can actually start to tie the narrative of the mat in with the narrative of the actual terrain pieces themselves.
It's really, really good.
So, GameMat.EU, double-sided GMAT, Quarantine and Fallout Zone, neoprene, yeah, and then Chem-zone terrain laid out on it, pre-painted, pre-assembled, just ready to flip and go. Right, we'll go back to the studio, and yeah, I'm going to have a quick think for 2 seconds about what I'm going to play, because I ain't playing Tau today.
All right.
Hi, I'm Adnan from Monolith, and you're watching The Weekender on BeastsOfWar.com.
Okay, Justin, I challenge you to a game on that later on.
Oh.
Yes, we are going to kill team on that one.
Where's the drilling, love? I need to get smacked in the face for this.
I want to whip out. Can you kill team with Tyranids?
Yes.
I'm going to kill team with my nids.
Okay.
I want to get my nids out on the table, slap them out there in front of you, Justin, and see what you think.
All right, Papa Nurgle's got a hug just for you, Warren.
Well, you can hug my nids all day long. Right, we are ready. We are joined by James. We've got our historical editor in, all the way from the United States.
This is true. Here I am.
We got him. It's time for the news, James. So,
all right.
So we're gonna. But before that, I just want to remind people: this week was Blood and Plunder Week.
Yes.
Over on beastofwar.com. We've been running Blood and Plunder stuff all week. It is such a beautiful, beautiful game.
I've had a blast. I mean, like, I got my ass kicked a few times this week. But I had fun getting my ass kicked. I've got to say, I enjoyed it.
Good.
Yes,
good.
Of course, good.
We had a prize. We've prize pool for that as well.
All right, QVC voice, if I may.
No, just tell me normal. You wind me up otherwise.
All right, so we have 3 prizes. 2 2-player starter bundles.
Yep.
So 2 of those for 2 people, and then it is. See, I have to do my.
2-player starter bundles for 2 people? Oh my God! You only get the best prizes on Beast of War.
This is why I do my QVC voice. That way I can get Patter out and I don't get confused.
Just go with the QVC.
QVC voice. I'll cover my ears.
Okay, so this week we had 3 prizes up for grabs. We began with 2 2-player starter bundles for you and me to get out onto the high seas. We then had our grand prize of a galleon and crew for 1 person.
Awesome! Put it there. You did it. You nailed it. That galleon looks awesome. Right. As well as the Space Hulk Challenge, remember, you still have 1 more week to enter the Bolt Action Project Challenge that is running. So we're going to announce the Bolt Action Project winners next week.
Yeah.
So get stuck in, because we have 20 quid vouchers. We have 3 20 quid vouchers to give away for those. So get your Bolt Action projects in.
I believe we had some starter sets to give away for that as well.
Yes, but they are not for the projects. They're for commenting on the live blogs from the boot camp. Did you have a good boot camp, James?
I had a great boot camp. It was amazing. I don't know how else to put it. It was just the participation from the community, the support from the people who attended here in the studio, and of course I know this is going to sound like I'm voting for office, like I'm rooting for office here, but seriously, the support that I got from the studio and from the team here at Beast of War Studio was seriously platinum level. Absolutely amazing.
There we go. That's a QVC voice. Right there.
I am James Oriskany Johnson, and I approve this message.
Right. So, let's kick off with the news. Ben, what's going on in the world?
Cool. So yeah, one of the things we missed from last week, because we didn't have a weekender, was that there was a new starter set bought out for Warhammer 40,000. So this one was another one of their sort of ones, a little bit like Tooth and Claw that we saw a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. This one was called Wake the Dead, and this one had the Space Marines going up against the Eldar from Samhan or Samhan, however you say the name. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. They're called Eldari now. That's all that matters. But anyway, it's a very, very cool little set. It comes with a nice little bit of narrative, sort of telling a little bit more of the story of things that are happening on the planet where all these sort of battles are going on. It obviously features the Eldar and the Space Marines clashing on the tabletop, which is really cool. Yeah. For the Space Marines, you get a whole bunch of new Primaris stuff. And for the Eldar, you get a whole bunch of Guardians, but you also get a Falcon Grav tank as well getting stuck into there too. So you got a little bit of heavier armor on that side as well, which would be very cool. And of course, leading both of these sides, you've got 2 special miniatures. So you've got a new Primaris Lieutenant for the Space Marines and a new Warlock, or I think it's a Spirit Seer, I think they're called, for the Eldar, leading the Eldari on that side as well, which is cool.
Ooh. Go to the full box contents there for me, Justin, just so we see what's in it.
getting a fair chunk of stuff.
I quite fancy the Eldar's chances in this one. You know, a nice big grav tank stuck in the middle of that.
Yeah, but the Primaris, they've got those big twin plasma guns at the back there. Those are going to do some damage.
I was like, why does only one side have a tank? What's going on with that?
You see, well, they have what are the equivalent of 3 small tanks.
You see, Ivan, when you are a space marine, you are a tank.
Yes, we need more tank.
One of the things I was going to say actually is that the really cool thing about this is that they're continuing to tell this narrative I was saying before about I think it's the Warzone of Vigilus, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And this is what all of these box sets have been sort of building and adding to. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about before, you know, way before 8th edition, that Warhammer 40,000 was very much one of these sort of 2 minutes to midnight kind of games.
Yeah.
They kind of really reset that with 8th edition, and now they seem to be telling a lot more evolving stories with their box sets. And it also allows you to have new sort of entryways into the hobby, which is really cool. So hopefully they're going to bring out some more in the future that might sort of appeal to your faction of choice, or one that you've really wanted to pick up, and this could be something that'll be really nice for you and a friend to get stuck into. So
yeah, nice box set. Nice box set.
This is something I used to wish and wish and wish for when Battle for Macragge was out, because it was always Space Marine versus Orcs, and you had to wait an edition before you were getting a change up. I know it's still Primaris versus something, but I'm liking this cycle. I'm liking seeing more and more different forces in 2-player starter sets to get more people in.
Well, even if you don't buy the starter set, the fact that each one is an excuse to drive the story forward a little bit is interesting. So you don't need to buy into each of them, but it's nice to have them there because it gives them something to hang a story on to drive it forward.
And the interesting thing as well is because they're keeping it to one kind of world as well, it can sort of evolve and change and not overly affect the like epic narrative that's happening everywhere else. So you're not going to feel like the story that's being told in Vigilus is the one that you have to take part in. It's one that's very much localized, so you can go and have your own adventures elsewhere, which I thought was a really cool thing. So
yes.
Well, as well as that, you also know that they have announced the new Warhound Titans for Adeptus Titanicus.
Look at these.
Oh, what do you see this? That these models are stupendous. Just look at them. I'm in love. And I tell you what, you two lucky gits who are going to win the Beersteins and the Warhounds. I can't quite work out in my own mind which is cooler, the Steins or the Warhounds. And you know, 7 days a week I would have said the Beersteins.
See,
7 days a week I would have said the Beersteins.
So I kind of fall into that Warhound camp.
Just make sure with these kits you're not drinking while you're putting them together, because you might have some very wonky.
Do not drink and pilot a Titan. Ben approves
no,
this
hang on
message.
a second. Hang on a second. That was the whole plan. You know, the secret part of that prize that I didn't tell you is that I'm actually going to come over to your house to deliver it along with a 6-pack, and we're going to crack them open together, and I'll watch you build your Warhounds. That sounds really creepy, doesn't it?
Just took an exponential leap. Value of that prize just took an exponential leap.
So we've had a week where there's been Warhound Titans released and a new 40k starter set with blue versus red.
Yeah.
And now for my incredible segue, because on the topic of blue versus red, Waterloo.
Wrong era.
Well, it's the same thing though. So we have the new Waterloo Black Powder starter set. Just look at this.
So this is
That is amazing looking. Look at that.
So what are we seeing in this box?
So inside this set, you're going to get two armies effectively. So you've got the British and the French, as you might imagine. Yeah. But you've also got a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well. So you've got the Hanoverian infantry as well, which is really cool. And of course, they're sort of developing things a little bit. So you don't have to just play out the kind of stuff that was happening around Waterloo. So a lot of people in the comments were saying that there's some really nice stuff in here for like the 100 Days campaign and stuff, which is really cool. Because a lot of people were wondering about all those big greatcoats and everything like that. But I think it's nice to have things sort of stretch a little bit further out from what you're normally seeing in Waterloo and stuff. You also get two metal generals, so they're sort of unique to this set, which is really cool. So you got one French one. You're going to get the new rulebook, which is going to be sort of revamped and revitalized for people wanting to play the games across all periods, not necessarily just stuff around the Napoleonic era. So
Ben, you're breaking up.
If you didn't catch a word of that,
can't hear you.
Let me translate that. You get a whole lot of cool in the box. Bring up the image because I'm going to have a crack at impressing my historical editor.
Oh, you want the full army?
Okay,
so army.
So Jim, right?
Yes.
These guys at the bottom. These are Brits. These guys here, so they are Wellington's men. This guy, these look like the Imperial Guard to me, do they, with the great coats?
I'm not really.
Who are the Hanoverians? So the Hanoverians, not the cavalry guys on horseback.
No,
Not
the
the
Hanoverians are the guys in the center.
Oh, they're the guys in the
above them-
center.
Hanoverian regiments were part of the Allied coalition along with the Dutch. I'd be interested to see if this kit expands later on, maybe to include some regiments, some divisions from the Netherlands. But yeah, for Wellington that day, it really was an Allied army. And I'm very interested to hear, like Ben was saying a second ago, about the 100 Days campaign.
Yeah.
The 100 Days campaign takes place pretty much through the whole late winter and early spring of and into the early summer of 1815. It's the 100 days are the 100 days that leads up to Waterloo. So, I mean, it's roughly 100 days. It depends on how you count it up. But pretty much Waterloo is nothing more than the 100th day of the 100-day campaign.
Right.
And
no, I want to try and get my timeline right on this, okay? So Napoleon had been sent off to, was it Corsica, where he was imprisoned? Or he was imprisoned on an island. I think it was Corsica.
It was in that area. It was down in the northern part of the Mediterranean.
Right. He came back, right? And was it Marshal Ney then met him on the road, and he was supposed to arrest him. And then Napoleon basically turned the soldiers that were there, turned them onto his side.
Like, shoot me in my heart.
Yeah,
right
shoot me in my heart. Whoa! And it basically, he's such a dude. He really was such a dude. But he managed to turn them, right? And then he came back, and he basically, fairly peacefully, basically took over France again. From that point, is that the starting point of the 100
Generally,
Days War?
yeah, generally. It's the 100 days, and again, there's going to be guys out there, LSR 2590, I'm calling you out, man. You got to get in the comments, you got to get below, and you got to help us out here. We just want to make sure that we keep it straight here. And I also really want to get your opinion on this new set, because he has a project in the project thread.
Yeah.
How to actually build, a Napoleonic regiment. How to build, okay, there are 10 companies in the Napoleonic regiment, 1 grenadier, 1 light, 9 or 8 line companies. Which side of the formation the regimental colors go on, as opposed to the king colors. How many, the drums, the whole 9 yards. He's got it built down to the true, yeah, and it's mostly a tutorial as he's helping other people, if you want to really build a Napoleonic unit. So this is definitely his wheelhouse. I'll do the best I can. But generally speaking, the 100 days encapsulates not the fall of the French Empire. French Empire is toast. French Empire is already gone. Yeah. Waterloo does not end the French Empire. French Empire is dead and buried already. This is the 100 days where Napoleon makes a bid to bring it back. Yeah. So Napoleon was kicked out of power. He was forced to abdicate. This is after Battle of Leipzig, another battle that took place through 1814. He gets put on his island in... I always get the 2 islands mixed up. So I'm not going to say which one it was. It's the northern Mediterranean. Yeah. And then he escapes from there. He gets back to France and he starts it up again. He gets rid of Louis, I think it's Louis the 18th, is the king that took over again there. And he makes another try. And the second people hear that Napoleon is back and the army is back behind him again, the Prussians find out about this, the Russians find out about this, the British, and they're all like, oh, yeah, we've been dealing with this guy since 1799. We are not going through that again. I don't care what you're doing. You've just dropped it and you are mobilizing everything you can. We're going to converge on this guy and we're going to stamp him out before he really gets something going again.
Yeah, because they were worried about him picking up some momentum. And
absolutely. Yeah. And if he had won at Waterloo, now it's an open question. Could he have revived the French Empire? Could we have seen Napoleonic Wars Phase 2 going, God forbid, into the 1820s? Who knows what would have
been a protracted war, or would the other countries have had enough forces to actually feed more in?
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
He would have faced the same difficulties he faced first time round.
The question really would have been,
still would have been
but this time he might not invade Russia.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely wouldn't have done that. But the big question is, could the Allies have maintained their coalition? Because we're talking about British, Prussians, and Russians and Austrians, people who don't normally get along anyway in these days, number one. And number two, France has just been through 20 years of war. Yeah. And the political situation in France is not 100%. So as far as could Napoleon have maintained through a second whole phase of warfare, had he won at Waterloo, that's going to be an open question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fabulous box set, Jim. Now, there's. I would imagine you're one of your main areas of expertise is American Civil War, right?
Yeah, American Civil War, American Revolution.
So between this box set, right, I would imagine the battles are somewhat similar. You know, it's
the battles are very similar. The weapons are almost identical. The tables of organization are almost identical. The British regiment is still based on the one-line battalion, and that one-line battalion has the typical, at the time, 10 companies. 10 companies is 8-line companies of roughly, supposed to have a bayonet strength of about 56 men, but that's negotiable. And one company of grenadiers, one flank company of grenadiers, one flank company of light infantry. What most British commanders would do, and this is where you get into Sharp's practice and some of the other games, what most commanders would do in the American Revolution is, okay, I have 10 regiments. Okay, rather than just take those 10 regiments and fight with them, I'm going to take those 10 regiments, I'm going to strip all the grenadiers out of all those regiments, I'm going to strip all the light infantry out of all those regiments. So I'm going to have now my 10 slightly under strength line regiments, and now just a left fist of light infantry for screening of nothing but light infantry, and a right fist of nothing but grenadiers. And these are some of the things you see in the Saratoga campaign that we wrote about earlier, and these things are nasty. You know, just, like take all the shock troops out of all your units and compress it into one just super elite force of heavy infantry. Whether or not those tactics were heavily used in the Napoleonic Wars, where things were a lot more formal and the terrain was a lot more constricted, that part I'm not really sure. But the weapons are the same. The general line tactics are going to be the same. I say the weapons, I mean like the Brown Bess musket was still pretty much being used, almost without any kind of modification.
Because one thing, it's never occurred to me to ask, but was there such a thing as a cavalry charge or anything during the Wars of Revolution or the Civil Wars?
Yeah. It wasn't very often because, cavalry requires two things. Requires people who know what they're doing, because it's a relatively advanced arm of the service. You need a lot of training. You need officers. You need people who do it. And it's expensive. You need a lot of money.
Yeah.
So in the American Revolution, you have exactly, I think, 2 regiments of the 17th and 16th Dragoons. Hopefully I didn't get that wrong. 2 British regiments of cavalry in the whole war, and they're not even there the whole time.
Yeah.
And on the American side, Americans don't really have a lot of the money or a lot of the expertise, because we had to borrow our expertise from places like Prussia and France. We had, advisors come in from other countries to kind of teach us what we were doing, because a bunch of farmers, man, a bunch of metalsmiths. We don't really know what we're doing as far as, fighting the biggest empire in the world at the time.
So the Battle of, obviously one of the big things, the likes of the Battle of Waterloo, was whenever the infantry would form into squares to try and protect themselves from the likes of cavalry charge. The look of the battle, if you were a general looking down on it, would look quite different.
Would be absolutely different. Yeah. So on this, and here's where we see the different levels of wargaming. On the scale of this box set, their battles are going to look largely similar, especially if, to go back to what Ben was saying before, you're sticking with a 100 days campaign.
Yes.
So these armies start to come together, and for 99 days, there's maneuver and skirmish, and this little company fights that little company. There's a small battle of 10,000 here, 5,000 here. This is where your skirmish gaming that you're going to get in games like Black Powder are really going to help out.
Yeah.
If anyone sets up a Black Powder army of Waterloo and does the whole battle, I mean, I'd love to come see that table. Please send an invitation.
Invite me! Invite me!
That's going to be an awesome table. But to set up even one line battalion at 1-to-1 scale and 28 millimeter, you're talking about 540 guys. That's going to look amazing, but it's going to be tough to do. Yeah. But again, so skirmish tactics. And at that skirmish level, the American Revolution and some parts of Napoleonic Wars, especially what you see in Sharp's rifles, the whole Spain and Portugal campaign, are going to look very, very similar. Some of the smaller engagements that you see in the 100 Days are going to look very similar. Where it really starts to completely blow out of any kind of recognition is when you zoom out. The anti-cavalry square, that you never saw that in the American Revolution. There was never enough cavalry. There was never enough infantry.
Yeah.
Largest battle in the American Revolution is Monmouth. There's maybe, you add up both sides, 20,000 men. Waterloo, you're pushing 250,000 if you include the Prussians. So it's 10 times the amount. And Waterloo wasn't even maybe the biggest battle in the Napoleonic Wars. There's Borodino, there's Leipzig, there's Austerlitz. There are some really big smackdowns in the in what some people like to call World War I, the true World War I, or maybe even 7 Years' War was the real World War I.
Yeah,
who knows? These are some really big conflicts.
It's extraordinary, whenever you think that that 250,000 men would be thrown into something like a Battle of Waterloo, that they didn't throw 100,000 men at trying to keep the Americas. You know, it's like, you know, why, you know,
there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
And one very big difference, big ocean. Good luck getting that.
I don't know if it was just logistics. There's got to be politics in play as well, you would think.
Geostrategic force projection is something that we've been talking about a lot lately on the site. And the ability of a nation to put an entire army and sustain it in war onto another continent is something that just hasn't been done. Yeah. It is trillions of dollars, or the equivalent in those days. I mean, the amount of money it's going to take, no one's really ever been able to do it except even the United States.
So it really was a logistical impossibility to do it.
When I'll say this much, when Great Britain, this is a little off topic, when Great Britain loses the first couple of battles around Boston and quote unquote gets kicked out of the United States at the very beginning of the American Revolution, the first reaction out of Great Britain at the time is, "Oh no, you didn't." And they get Richard Howe and William Howe. They were brothers. One was the admiral, one was the general. And they put together the largest expeditionary force that Great Britain has ever had at the time, sent anywhere. So it wasn't from lack of effort. They were raising millions and millions of pounds. They were floating ships out of dry dock where they had been stored since the 7 Years' War. They came out the United States, or not the United States, they came out the American colonies with everything they possibly could at the time. And it comes out to an Army and Navy, a combined fleet of about 40,000 men.
Yeah.
Which was way more than even at its most optimistic figures, you know, anybody like Washington or the Second Continental Congress could even possibly match. Yeah. He was lucky if he had, on paper he had 20,000, but he had maybe 5.
Yeah,
and he's outnumbered 8-1. So guess what? He's going to lose. You know.
But they didn't.
Well, they did. And they lost again, and they lost again, and they lost again.
So they kept losing until they didn't.
We kept losing until we got some very powerful friends. Thank you, French. I will never stop thanking you for that.
Okay, moving on. Sticking with the historical, we have Spanish invaders for Kensei. Ben, what can we tell about these?
Cool. So Zenit run a game called Kensei and also one called Tori, and it's sort of set in a sort of semi-historical, semi-fantastical world that they've created, where you play as the different clans of the Japanese peninsula, fighting it out for dominance of the landscape. But they've also been throwing a little bit of something extra into the mix now, with the release of a whole bunch of new Spanish soldiers that have come over there to try and stake a claim on the islands for themselves and take over. So we've got the likes of some really cool captains, a sergeant major, a field master and constable, and father and priest. So you've got all the things that you might imagine would have gone over with like a conquistador force into the South Americas and stuff, which is really cool. But here we're seeing them going up against the Japanese samurai and stuff, which is really fantastic. As well as that, they've also created a whole bunch of new regiments as well. So you've got a whole bunch of things like swordsmen. You've got the Rodaleros. Don't know what that means, but it sounds awesome. And also the pikemen as well. But then you've also got the guns as well. So you've got the arquebusier. I can't remember how you say that word either. But you've got some really cool guns going in there as well. So you've got the effective black powder against the samurai in this period as well, which is really cool. But yeah, the models that Zenit do are always really, really characterful. I really, really like them. They're always a little bit bigger than you normally see. So they're around sort of 32 to nearer to 35 millimeter, which is really neat. But as I say, one of the big things they've done with this is that obviously the guys at Zenit do loads of really cool, fantastical stuff. So they've got like some really cool demons and stuff like that from Japanese mythology. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with these guys, these Spanish invaders coming over, and how they sort of interact with that as
El
well.
Diablo.
As El Diablo, yeah. So it'd be really cool seeing like Father Constantine going up against a whole bunch of Japanese ghosts or something. That would be really cool. So yeah, very good.
It's some beautiful stuff. I think the sculpts are absolutely beautiful.
So what was it? Arquebusiers? One of the words he was trying to say.
Arquebusiers.
Arquebusiers. Yeah, these are very, very, very primitive muskets. These are pre-flintlock muskets. These are going to be matchlocks. This is the height of human engineering here, where you have a musket in one hand, a burning cord in the other hand, and in the third hand that everybody has, he's got a bag of black gunpowder, and you're trying to handle all this at once while being shot at. So
what will they do? Like they fill the thing up, and then they lift the burning cord, and they run up to where they're going to go, and then stick the burning cord into the.
Well, the idea is you cock back your dog. That's not what your dog said, but you cock open your pan. You have a little bit of powder in there. You close that, and there's a little hole in there that your match cord is supposed to snap back into when you pull the trigger. So technically, okay, you're doing this, and you're putting that, and you're doing one of these numbers while musket balls are flying around your head or whatever. And you're trying not to blow yourself up, because there's going to be a time when you basically have a musket, a bag of black powder, or a can of those little horns or something.
And a lit fuse.
This is way before black powder. I mean, way before cartridges, when at least it was in a paper, a little paper container or whatever.
Yeah, so if you're pouring black powder over your hands, you go to pull the trigger.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have black powder all over your face, over your hands, and you fire, and your beard will catch fire. And
I have seen that. Whenever I was a youngster and I was in the cadets, we did a mock exercise, and they threw flashbangs, etc. during it. And then once the exercise had finished and we were just relaxing, one of the young fellas went to try and grab a flashbang as a souvenir.
Why is this a wee Johnny story? We have a joke here in Ireland, the wee Johnny story, and it's wee Johnny does something stupid.
Yeah, well, he went to get a flashbang.
He goes to pick up a live grenade.
He picked up a spent flashbang as a souvenir, and he'd been walking around with it. And then he went and he had a smoke, and his hand just flared up.
Yeah, so it's gonna have a lot of.
There was still a residue of powder and stuff.
Totally.
The hand flared up, took the skin off the hand, and instead of going and telling somebody, he spent the night with his hand inside water that he found in a tree trunk.
That's not gonna get infected at all.
No
way.
No. So
burns never get infected.
So it's no nice thing.
Oh no,
black powder burns, because that stuff burns at a really, really high temperature. Like it's ferocious.
There's a reason they got rid of them, and they started using what we call flintlocks.
Yeah.
So there's a broader family of firearms, muskets, and then within that generally are matchlocks followed by flintlocks, and in the middle there are some people who try to build wheel locks, where it was some sort of a clockwork thing, where like a spring tension would actually those were always very tough to manufacture, but pretty much those are the two main periods of what we call black powder weapons or flintlock or musket-based weapons. It's going to be a matchlock and a flintlock. But those Spanish miniatures look great. I mean, I know it's for a series that's not entirely historical, but there's nothing wrong with any of those. Like, I could build a conquistador army and put them up against Aztecs. I could do some of Hernando Cortez's campaigns in Mexico in the Age of Exploration. There's nothing non-historical blatantly, at least. I'm not a complete expert on the period, but there's nothing, blatantly non-historical. I don't see anyone with fairy wings or, dragon's tails.
I don't know. Maybe these guys with the big ass shields. I don't know if those are historical or no. Maybe someone can tell us down below.
The Rodoleros.
That's actually
the Rodolero.
That might be a little.
No, I have no idea what they are.
Is that one component to everything else?
I can guarantee you the Rodoleros are completely historically accurate in my mind.
You have no proof for it, but it's scientific fact.
I have no evidence for that, but it is a scientific fact. Right, moving on. Next up, we have new cartel models for Spectre operations. Ben, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So the guys at Spectre Miniatures have been putting together a new set of cartel models for you to use in your games. They're sort of focused around the idea of building on what they've already got for the sort of Spectre operations set that's sort of built around the cartels and the drug stuff in South America. But all of these guys have now got slightly more high-tech weaponry as well. So you're going to see a lot more big machine guns and a lot of more high-tech rifles as well getting into the mix, which is really cool. So it's showing off the sort of the way that these guys may have had, not necessarily the best armor and stuff and the best tactics, but they had a whole bunch of different weapons that they'd sourced from, America and all that kind of thing, which is really cool. It kind of is sort of drawing things into some really nice new ideas for scenarios. So, for example, we've talked about this a little bit before, but obviously Ghost Recon Wildlands is a kind of really nice baseline for anyone who's want to try and experience this kind of modern warfare kind of thing, where you're sort of going down there to deal with the drug lords and taking out cells and stuff, and then trying to then focus on taking out the kingpins too. So,
What I need is a little mini Justin.
Dude, I don't want to be dropped in the middle of cartel land. I do not want to drop into the Netflix original series Lost and Afraid in Colombia.
Man. No. I'd recreate Breaking Bad, and you could be my little Heisenberg. so you can.
No, I'm sorry. That man has a better beard than me any day of the week. I'm not even trying that.
That's not true, Justin. Since you visited the Turkish barber, you look amazing.
You had an upgrade.
Dude, I wanted to treat myself. Come on. And it was so nice.
Justin, do you know what, man? That's a treat that keeps on giving, man, because not only did you treat yourself, you treated each and every one of us in the studio, because we get to look at you looking the freshest you've ever looked. You're like a Ken doll.
Just opened on the opposite side, and I swear, they give you a massage, they crack your knuckles. Having someone take a straight blade to your head's a little weird, I'll say that.
Yes.
And they took fire to me.
Yes, and
they took fire to me.
They did. It was the most unusual backsacking crack I've ever heard of. So, right, anyway.
No, wait. I'm in the wrong part of the country for that service.
We have the news behind us for another week. Next, we're going to have a look at a couple of Kickstarters before we get to arguably my favorite part of the show, the most important part of the show, and that's the community spotlight.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have we got Kickstarter-wise this week, Ben?
Cool. So yeah, we've got two little quick Kickstarters to look at. The first of these is the Trolls, Goblins, and Orcs Kickstarter from Motion in Poetry. Now, you may remember we talked about this guy actually a couple of weeks ago, as we gave him a little bit of a community spotlight for some of the work he'd done on sculpting. This guy has been working on stuff for Soda Miniatures and for Mantic Games. You know, most of the models you've seen in Walking Dead, for example. Yeah. This guy has worked on a whole bunch of them, which is absolutely fantastic. So you've got a really nice sort of pedigree of guy here. And then, of course, he's coming to Kickstarter with his own stuff here, showing off some amazing trolls and some fantastic goblins. I believe the campaign is just about funded, which is really cool. Sort of showing off what kind of talent he has in other areas, which is really nice to see. And it's sort of just really nice to see someone stretching their creative wings and doing something different as well, which is really cool. I would actually say there is a whole bunch of different pledge levels in here, but there is also a pledge level for those that want to splash out, where you can actually get him to create your own very unique miniature. So it costs a little bit more, but you could get yourself a little tiny Justin Soldado to put into your games of the South American cartels. There you go.
Do you know what? It's something like that. If you did a once in a lifetime thing, I would love to get like a little Justin Goblin. A little Warren Goblin.
All right, you have to get a Ben Goblin and
you're including yourself.
Yeah, we could just Goblin together. We could play the Goblins RPG, Goblin Quest, and we'd have our three little goblins, and we'd just be going around. But it's a pipe dream, man. It's a pipe dream. But they are beautiful goblins.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, I actually scrolled past my favorite one. Let me quickly scroll up to it because he's tiny, he's cute. And he's so happy looking. Look at this little guy.
They're gribbling pups. They're gribbling pups.
I want one so bad. I want one so bad.
Is that a little bowler hat he's got on?
Yeah, he's got a little bowler hat with some monster teeth on there.
No. That's a bowl that he keeps his quavers in.
I thought we were done with that. I thought we were done with that.
Beasts of War. Hidden jokes since 1999. Yeah, it's like
operate in 1999.
Okay, 5 days left on the Trolls, Goblins, and Orcs. You might want to get in on that. Some beautiful, quirky stuff. Be lovely for some of the role plays that are out there just at the moment.
Yeah.
Next up from Broken Mill, we have how do I pronounce this? The Heroes of Tenerife.
Tenerife, yes. Yeah. This is a deck building game, but with a little bit of a twist. It's for 1 to 4 players, and it's all about sort of dungeon delving and adventuring, which is, as you might imagine, a fantasy staple. But the really interesting thing about this is that it's fully cooperative, which is also very cool. But the way that you deck build is very, very different from normal games. Now, for example, if you'd seen what we saw with, for example, Thunderstone, you know, where you have like that huge market of cards and you buy cards from that, and then they go into your deck, and then you go off and fight monsters separately. In this, your deck building comes from the monsters you defeat. So each card that you get in this game has the monster on the top of it when you go out adventuring, and then on the bottom is a action that card can do when it gets added to your deck. So it's trying to simulate the fact that as you go out and fight monsters, you get more experienced and learn the ways of fighting to deal with these creatures, which is really cool. And of course, all the different characters are completely asymmetrical, so they all fight very, very differently, which means that you're going to be, once you're going out and defeating monsters, you're going to be thinking, cool, so that's going to be a really good card for my deck. So we'll work together to get you this one. So so it'll chain really nicely with another one, which is really cool. So yeah, there's a really fantastic little little bit of a tweak on the deck building mechanic there, because obviously deck building is a pretty standard thing that everybody kind of knows now when it comes to board games and card games, but it's nice to see someone doing something a little bit different. The other thing that's really cool about this is with the artwork looks absolutely fantastic. Now, we actually got to talk with the guy who was behind this at the UK Games Expo this year. Really awesome guy. I think his name was Pippin, which is just an amazing name anyway. And yeah, he was talking about his game, showing it off and getting really interested in it. So hopefully I'll be able to dig out that video maybe from our live blog, and I'll put it into the show notes below for you to go and check out.
Yeah,
as well.
I have noticed one thing on this Kickstarter that I love to see.
What's that, Justin?
Print and play.
Yes.
You can
Yes,
try
there is also a print
before you buy. That is a very cool thing to have in on a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You know, especially, you know, I mean, like, I know a lot of people, they look at Kickstarter and they go, do I want to jump in on it? Is the game going to be fun? Having this, give it a go.
A lot of Kickstarters are having that now, where they have the print and play option to get you started. Okay, before we close out the show with the competition winners, remember last week we were giving away 2 copies of Warhammer Underworld's Night Vault. So I'm going to announce our 2 winners right at the end of the show. And remember, comment, like, subscribe, and ding my dong to be in with a chance of winning Warhounds and Stains. I know it's quite a combination in it. So
please ding his dong so we don't have to.
But before all of that, my favorite part of the show. It's the community spotlight, because it's not about what we're doing, it's about what you're doing. And we have a double dose for you this week. Kicking off with the Pencock Core. How do we...
Pencockawalker.
Pencockawalker.
By who?
It's a Pencockawalker by Lobster Mooch.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't bring this up and bring up the wrong community button here.
Check. Like, when you see, Justin, you're going to cream yourself when you see this.
Ooh,
so look at that.
This is one of the
highlights on that are great.
Yeah, this is one of the awesome monsters that was developed by the guys at Miss Miniatures for Darklands. You might remember some of their very nice bespoke big resin pieces. This is one of their crazy little monsters that you see in the game. Oh, I say little, it's actually pretty massive, this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had to pick this out because I was getting into a whole monster mode the week that we did that community spotlight, so it was really nice to see someone working on something so crazy like this. I love the fact that, as you say, the highlighting is absolutely stunning on this model, and I love the choice of colours where you've got that really nice cool blue mixed with the warmer reds as well. The sort of work around the mouth with the teeth and the tongue, which looks horrible as well, which is really nice, and then those gleaming yellow eyes too was just a really nice touch to finish it off.
It is.
I was saying this would be a really cool sort of monster to throw into maybe an Age of Sigmar game. Maybe if you're going to be collecting the Zentian forces, you know, throw this in with the Arcanites. You've got yourself a really cool little monster as well, perhaps. So yeah.
Is that connected to a project, Justin? Can we have a look and see? I should have known it was by Mears the moment that I couldn't pronounce the name of it. So it was
it's just in the forums.
Oh, it's in the forums. That's okay.
So the ones in the community spotlight from last week were all from the What Are You Painting Now thread.
Oh,
so
okay.
Just go and check that out. So yeah, but yeah.
So you have two options when you're over on tabletop.com or bc4.com. You can either fire up a project or, and we recommend you do both, hop into the What Are You Painting Now forum and post in a picture of what you're doing, and then link people back to your project so that they can see your progress. Right. Congratulations, Lobster Mooch. Golden button for you. Nice. Next up, we have Paul Bonner Troll by Warlock Mini.
What we got here?
Yeah, so now...
Oh, man, look at that grill.
Look at the backpack he's done, though. Is that actual fabric? Or is
that looks like real canvas.
So this model is fantastic anyway. I love Paul Bonner. I love his artwork. And I love anything that's done around his miniatures and everything, which is really cool. This was actually part of the Black Plague Kickstarter that was done for Zombicide. This model by Warlock Mini here, you can see, has been painted up absolutely fantastically in a really wonderful sort of dark fantasy style. That actual sort of roll of carpet or fabric on his back is actually sculpted out of green stuff and putty and stuff.
Oh,
and
what?
And then put over the top, because the actual head on the back was actually made out. The basket on the back was full of heads, and he thought it looked a little bit too gruesome, so that's why he put that thing over the back, which I thought was really cool. Nice. But yeah, a really nice looking little sort of addition to the model, adding a little bit more of personalization to it too, which is really good. And again, just an amazing scheme. I love the way that it's been painted. It feels like a piece of artwork rather than it just being a miniature. You could almost imagine this having like a 2D look to it rather than it just being 3D, which is really cool. But yeah, absolutely amazing. If you want to go and check out some more from Warlock Mini, there's some really nice stuff over in the What Are You Painting Now thread, and hopefully he's going to be starting up his own project system as well, which would be really cool to show off too.
Yeah, Warlock Mini, please do. Not only that, but get in touch and tell us where you work from, because we're going to send Justin to you. Because Justin,
I need to learn to make filthy fabric like that.
Yeah, absolutely you do. We have found somebody that shares your sensibilities, okay? So he found a piece of a mini that he didn't like.
Yeah.
So he covered it up expertly, right?
Well, he used green stuff, I used paint.
No, you used clippers. So the next time you go to clip off the little part of the little models, you won't need to, because he will show you how to make grubby mats that you can cover them up with grubby loincloths. It'll be amazing.
It's going to be tidy whiteys for days.
It's like adding a whole...
free vacation. I'll go with that.
It's a whole new string to your bow. You know,
Do you not mean string to the loincloth?
A whole new string to it's a whole new G string to your loincloth. You're going to it's going to be amazing, man. Do you know what? I love this community. I love this community. The way that we can reach into this community and get Justin the things he needs in life.
I need all the things all the time.
Finally, we have an Orc Boar Riders by Tanath.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a look back into this sort of old hammer style that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see someone working on some old school sort of orcs and goblins and stuff, which is really cool. The thing that I loved about this is that he's kind of given that little bit of a hark back to the time when everything was really brightly coloured back in the 90s. So you've got those really huge, stunning shields there with that bright yellow on it and the bright reds too. But yeah, really nice sort of looking pale skin to the orcs, which I thought was really nice as well. Sort of a little bit like what it was like with the goblins, which we looked at a couple of weeks ago too. Really nice little set of regimental orcs and stuff to use in your Warhammer Fantasy battles and stuff like that. So yeah, a nice little nod to a little bit of an old school painting technique done with a modern flair, which I thought was really cool. So,
that's a challenge I'd like to lay out to the community sometime.
Well, one of the things that I want to know is everybody wants an orc on a boar, right? Ben.
Yes.
What is the likelihood? Now that you are a new kind of like a D&D master, what is the likelihood of you being down a dungeon and finding an orc riding a boar?
And this, Ben, is what you've let yourself in for, my friend.
Does it depend on the type of dungeon, by any chance? Is it a case of the deeper you go, the more likely you are to discover something like that?
Someone's going to start ripping these videos and just cutting like porn music over all of your little segments.
If it's a deep dark hole, you're very unlikely to have an orc riding a boar. But if it's a little bit warmer and a little bit fuzzier, then you might start to see the greenskins getting some action. What have we done to them?
Why?
Nice. Because I will fully admit, okay, in my dungeon collection, okay, and I have some stuff in my dungeon collection.
I'm sure.
Let me tell you,
I'm sure you have some stuff in your dungeon.
I have.
Collection.
I actually have among my dungeon critters an orc riding a boar.
Of course.
But coming up with a narrative plot line that doesn't involve pizza delivery or anything like that, to have an orc riding a boar in a dungeon, he would have to be pretty loopy. But but stranger things have happened.
Is cavalry like an indoors thing?
Yeah, it's like an orc.
If it's small enough.
Orc riding a boar down a dungeon.
All right, well, here's one for you, Warren.
Yeah.
So looking at these, it looks as if he's using some of the more modern styles of painting. I would love to see what some of our community can do if they take old hammer minis like this and use the most modern painting techniques they know and see how they turn out. I'm very curious to mash the
non-metallic metal, old hammer kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah? New paint on old minis. That would be a challenge I would love to see.
That would be interesting.
We see a little bit of that in Battletech, because one of the only people that still make serious Battletech minis are Iron Wind Miniatures.
Yeah.
They use the old, there's like a guy with a barn in Massachusetts somewhere. I'm probably getting that wrong. Somebody correct me. But it's a relatively old school company. And of course, people still buy their minis. People still paint them up, put them on the table. So you could almost say that, people are doing that as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious
okay, into week 2. I'm looking forward to this one.
Are any of these projects, Ben, before we begin?
The first 2 are projects, and the third one is from the forums.
No worries.
Okay, so kicking off, we have a Blood and Plunder Sea Battle by Panzer Kaput.
So yeah.
Nice. Oh, it's a game.
Here we go.
So yeah, inspired by Blood and Plunder Week, I thought it would be cool to go and check out what Panzer Kaput was doing. This was a 5-way Blood and Plunder ship battle, which I thought was awesome. It was the English versus the Spanish, and they were having to fight over that ship in the center of the board, as you can see here. As you might imagine, it was full of chaos and all that kind of thing as well. There was some lovely painted ships and some really fantastic looking miniatures as well. Of course, one of them was still in resin, which was a bit upsetting, but other than that, it all looks very cool. Unless it's a ghost ship, in which case, then that's fine, I guess.
We spoke to Mike this week. You're not getting the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, it's the Moby Dick, man. It's the Moby Dick.
Lovely stuff.
But yeah, a really fantastic looking little battle report. Hopefully he sort of expands on this and adds a little bit more to the project, but it was really nice to see someone using the system to sort of narrate a little bit of fun they'd had with Blood and Plunder and showing off as well. Get some cool action shots over the top of the deck and stuff, which was really cool too. And it also shows the versatility of Blood and Plunder.
Yeah.
You can play it with a lot more people. You can have, these proper full-on sea battles with lots of boarding actions and cannons and that kind of thing, and just have a lot of fun with it. So
and it's nice to see the project system being used for a battle report.
Absolutely. I second that motion.
One thing I kind of disagree with. Everything is in one entry.
So be it. It's you can split it up. You can do whatever you want. It's flexible for a reason.
The one possible reason they may have done that, Justin, is sometimes when you're posting, because I've done battle reports in the project system, is sometimes depending on how your user is actually using that feature, it might come in like some sort of reverse order.
Yeah.
And then when your battle report comes out in a kind of a wonky order, then you have maybe you lose a little bit of the narrative.
So what we need is a setting to give you guys control over the order that your stuff presents in.
That would work.
Okay.
Put that one away for the later.
It's on the list. Next up, we have some Conflict 47 Germans. Oh, we're back into the historicals.
Yes.
So it's by Wilson 92.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is looking at his force that he's been using for both Bolt Action and Conflict 47. So he's built this so that it can kind of flow between the two. He's added a few sort of World War sort of options into this because, of course, you've got the soldiers there, lots of them with their gas masks on, and you've got like their commander carrying like a sacred orb and all kinds of things like that. And also the paint scheme that's obviously applied to some of the vehicles. A little bit different from what you'd normally see in World War II. Very Iron Skies, but I thought this was a really fantastic looking project, showing off what you can do when you're looking to sort of delve into bolt action, and also add a little bit of a twist to it and get a little bit pulpy and weird too, which was really cool. The thing that I thought was a really nice touch to this, and sort of pushes it a little bit more towards the Weird World War side than it does the sort of historical, is the skin tones that have got into the German troopers.
Yes.
Now they've got this sort of like almost off pallid ghoulish flesh to them.
They do.
So it almost looks like they've been sort of drawn back from the dead or the near death, or they've been sort of infected with some kind of mutagen or something that makes them stronger and faster, for example.
They're zombies.
They're a little bit like zombies, yeah. So yeah, very, very cool looking set. Really
it kind
nice
of matches with the oh, I'm sorry, and it kind of matches with the paint scheme of their vehicles.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so it's a very, very cool set.
This scheme is basically what I've always wanted for the Nacktwolf, except their vehicles are more silver and more metallic. But in terms of the actual infantry, he's pretty much nailed what I want for the Nacktwolf. However, I might give my dudes a bit more hair. I make them hairy, werewolfy kind of guys.
Well, there are plenty of werewolves and stuff out there for your Germans and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
The commander on the right hand side here.
Yes.
He looks like such a comic book villain, the way he's painted up with that pose.
It looks like he's got a monocle in the eye too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very,
very
cool.
classic, like Wolfenstein style. Love it.
But here's the thing, it's I look at that and previously that's exactly what I would have expected Germans to look like.
Yep.
But Germans never fought in grey, did they?
Early war, yeah.
Early war, they did fight in grey.
Are you talking about the uniforms or the vehicles?
Yeah, the uniforms.
Uniforms are a grayish green. There's a little bit more gray in it, early war, and it becomes more green, and then they get into more of the camouflage, and then the quality, for lack of a better term, the uniform starts to degrade a little bit as the war goes on. Pretty much they're wearing whatever they can get their hands on. But the vehicle, the vehicle markings and the basic vehicle paint jobs are pretty much solid gray through the first 2 and maybe 2.5 years of the war.
Did they ever paint tanks grey?
Oh, yeah.
That's what you said?
Yeah. Poland, the Low Countries, France, into the early parts of Russia, all through the Balkans. It's all solid gray.
You're sure it's not because everything was black and white in those days?
Oh.
That is the exact, that is the exact.
If someone
reasoning.
knows who this man is, please contact.
I was going to say that was the exact reasoning that I used when I rocked up with a bolt action army to my local gaming store, and I'd painted a panther grey when apparently they're yellow. But anyway, and I put it down on the tabletop, and he went, "What tank's that?" And I went, "That's a panther." And he went, "Isn't it meant to be yellow?" And I was like, "Well, it's black and white in all the photos I have."
Exactly, man. Exactly. I am very tempted to have a go.
I don't have an earpiece in, so I'm not hearing everything that Ben's saying right now. I heard panther and gray. I was like, no, eject.
I have a plan. I'm going to challenge John to do me a 1-day bolt action army.
Yeah.
Right. And what I want to do is I want to do a 1-day German or British bolt action army. We'll have a think, right? But I want them to do it completely black and white. Completely black and white, as if it had come out of like a black and white photograph, and to see if it's something that, using some of the techniques that we have with airbrushes and things like that, could we create a monochrome army, no color whatsoever, just completely black and white, and see what it would look like.
Some of the things that we've done with some of the project threads and some of the pictures that like Pierce out there in the community has put up, some of his outstanding 172 20 millimeter 20 millimeter forces, is we'll take a picture of his tables, and then we'll download it, put it in Photoshop, black and white it just the right way,
desaturate it,
well, desaturate, not where it's grayscale, but where it's true black and white.
Oh, right.
That's the difference between modern day black and white and 1940s black and white. Throw in a few filters, put in that little white border around it, and turn it into a World War II photograph. Throw a bunch of them up there on the website and challenge people to tell the difference. And his stuff is just good enough where if you put just the right amount of Photoshop into it, you'd be like, that looks like a friggin' wartime photograph. Really good.
I'm gonna talk to John about this. Right, last one. Staying in the historicals, we have a bolt action British by Yoshi.
Now I'm going to preface this by saying I think they're British. I think they're commandos. Who knows? But anyway, they looked awesome. And the reason I wanted to pick this out is that Yoshi would put this into the forums, and he was going to make himself a bolt action project that he was going to use to sort of try and enter the competition that we had over the Desert War and stuff. Yeah. But then he was like, you know what? I'm going to flesh this out properly. I'm going to sort of build on it and show off all the different techniques that I've used and things like that. But I wanted to just highlight this and show off just how amazing the painting is on this particular squad here. I love all the detail that's gone into the facial. You can see like the sort of stubble on the soldier towards the right-hand side as well.
5 o'clock shadow on there.
Which is really cool. All the sort of work on the sort of the wood on the rifles and the metallics too is amazing, as of course is all the camouflage that you can see there too. And then the basing is just the right amount of sort of characterful to help frame the model, but then not too much. Absolutely fantastic looking models that have that kind of little bit of an action hero sort of style to them, sort of going into that kind of like comic book thing, but also working into the historical too.
The key is identifying them. What are they?
Those are British paratroopers.
Yes,
those are late war British paratroopers. It looks like. Judging. There you go. Is that what Ben guessed?
That Ben had guessed yet.
There you go, Ben. Score a chalk went. Ding.
Well, no, did you not say commandos?
I thought they were commandos. Yeah.
I heard Paris.
No, I don't think they're commandos. Commandos would have had a red cap.
Red beret.
Some para units had a red cap. Some, I mean, it depends on what division they're with.
Yeah.
I'm going by the fact that it looks like the guys with helmets. Those look like late war British para helmets, and the camouflage on the jackets.
Yeah.
Okay. The smocks. They also look like they're carrying Enfields and Sten guns. So, I mean, I don't want to speak for him. I'm not 100% sure what he was going for. But if I looked at a table with those guys, I would guess late war British paras.
Yeah. Okay. They are. It's a beautiful paint job.
Comments in below.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, guys, that about wraps us up. Competition-wise, last week we were giving away 2 copies of Warhammer Underworlds. Our 2 winners were Dan001 and Chaos Head 87. To claim your prize, come across to beastsofwar.com, click more, go to contact us and click claim a prize. You'll get then entered into our prize system where this man will take care of you.
Eventually.
The things are here, as I showed at the start of the show. The stuff's here, so we'll get it out to you just as soon as we can. And remember, comment, like, subscribe, ding the dong, you know the score. and you could be in with a chance of winning Warhounds and a Stein. 2 of them.
That's the prize for today's show.
2 of them to give away.
This is one of the Steins.
Yes. There's a Stein.
This is Stein.
And
this is also a Stein.
This is a Stein.
You've got an Ultramarines and a Blood Angels one.
And we showed you Warhounds earlier on. So you'll each get a box of Warhounds and a Stein.
Yeah, Steins are good.
Jim.
Yes, sir.
Can we grab you for tomorrow's show? Will you join us backstage?
I think I could be persuaded.
Come on, one more day.
Good man. I've recruited a Sasquatch. We have a giant hairy Irishman joining us tomorrow.
All right, well, now I'm in for sure.
Calling dibs.
Yeah, so tomorrow's going to be good. If you want to get in on it, join us on the XLBS podcast tomorrow morning over at beastsofwar.com. We would love to have you. It would be our absolute pleasure to get you to join the inner circle of our community and help support the project. Other than that, our massive thanks to Jim for coming across and supporting the boot camp in the incredible way that only Jim can do. And a little thank you to Justin and Ben for entertaining, as always.
Why a little one? They get huge things.
They get a lot of them. So it's
okay.
You have to slowly feed it.
Massive thank you to you guys.
Cruise.
Have a great week of gaming. We'll see you soon. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.